This is Mindfulness with Richard Clarke. I focus on mindfulness meditation. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Now, today, as I said, we're going to deal with mindfulness and how it can get compassionate support to our journey through loss and grief. Life is a series of transitions, and loss is an inevitable part of our human experience. Buddha pointed out that all things change. Everything is impermanent. Whether it's the passing of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or any significant sense of change or loss, grief is a natural response. Mindfulness doesn't offer a quick fix, but it provides a way to be present with our emotions, offering solace and understanding. First is understanding grief through mindfulness. In the midst of loss, our minds often race between the past and an uncertain future. Mindfulness invites us to anchor ourselves in the present moment. It's about acknowledging the pain without judgment, allowing ourselves to feel the grief without getting overwhelmed. I feel like the grief I have felt is because of the love I have, and to acknowledge the grief is to acknowledge the love. So somehow that makes it all right for me. Begin by noticing the sensations in your body. Is there tightness in your chest, a lump in the throat? Where do you feel it? If you don't feel grief now, recall a time when you lost a loved one and use that as a basis for these exercises today. And notice the feelings in your body without trying to change anything. Mindfulness is not about escaping pain, but rather embracing it with an open heart. To embrace it, you must feel it. This is the opposite of what people often think. They think grief hurts, so I must avoid it. Mindfulness encourages us to be fully present with whatever we experience, in this case, our grief. Instead of being consumed by thoughts of the past or anxieties about the future, mindfulness invites us to observe the sensations, thoughts, and emotions arising in the here and now. When you look, you'll find that the sensations, thoughts, and emotions are all associated, appearing as sets together. So, how does this affect mindfulness practice? In your daily meditation, bring a gentle awareness to the physical and emotional sensations associated with grief. Notice the feelings in your body, the tightness in your chest, the lump in your throat, the waves of sadness. By acknowledging these sensations without judgment, you create a space for acceptance and healing. Also, notice the thoughts and emotions associated with the sensation. One of the core teachings of mindfulness is the recognition of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing, including our emotions. Grief, though intense, is not a permanent state. It passes. Through mindfulness, we learn to witness the impermanence of our feelings without clinging to them or resisting them. So, during meditation, reflect on the nature of impermanence. Visualize the emotions of grief as passing clouds in the vast sky of your awareness. As you observe them drifting by, remember that they too are temporary. You can even visualize the days of your life as one of these passing clouds. This understanding that everything changes can provide a sense of solace and ease the grip of intense emotions. The grief will pass. Everything changes. Grief often comes with other emotions. Notice them too. Ones that you'll find are anger, guilt, regret, loneliness, fear, confusion, relief, numbness, yearning, anxiety. Some of these may seem socially acceptable, while others are seen as challenging. Notice and acknowledge them all. Mindfulness invites us to drop the judgments and approach our feelings with an open heart. In your meditation, explore the landscape of your grief without labeling emotions as good or bad. Allow yourself to feel anger, sadness, confusion, or even moments of relief without attaching a value judgment. This non-judgmental awareness brings a compassionate space for the entirety of your grieving process. Now, breath is important. The breath is a constant companion in mindfulness practice, and in the realm of grief, it serves as a reliable support. During moments of intense emotions, return to the breath as an anchor to the present moment. Remember to use mindful breathing when faced with overwhelming grief. Inhale deeply, acknowledge the pain, and exhale, releasing any tension or resistance. The breath becomes a bridge between the intensity of emotions and the stillness within, allowing you to navigate your grief with greater resilience. One of the beautiful aspects of mindfulness is using the breath as an anchor. In times of grief, your breath becomes a steady companion. It's always there. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and then allow your breathing to return to its natural rhythm. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the feeling of the breath at your nostrils. And as your mind inevitably wanders, gently bring it back to the breath. This simple act helps create a refuge within yourself, a place of stillness amid the storm of emotions. Cultivating compassion is also important. Loss often brings a flood of emotions: sadness, anger, confusion. Mindfulness invites us to observe these emotions without getting entangled in their narrative, in their story. Instead of resisting or judging your emotions, practice self-compassion. Imagine you're comforting a dear friend going through the same grief. What would you say to them? Now, offer those same words of kindness to yourself. This self-compassion is a way to heal the wounded heart. First and foremost, direct compassion towards yourself. Often, we're our harshest critics during times of grief. We may feel a sense of guilt or think we should be handling things differently. Mindfulness encourages us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we'd offer to a dear friend. Imagine your grief as a wounded part of yourself. Instead of turning away, embrace it with tenderness. Speak to yourself with the same warmth you'd extend to someone you care deeply about. This self-compassion doesn't negate the pain, but it provides a soft space for it to be acknowledged and felt. Grief is a shared human experience. Everyone faces loss, and acknowledging this universal truth can create a sense of interconnectedness. Share your stories and grief. This shared vulnerability fosters a community of understanding. As you listen to others, practice compassionate listening. Avoid the urge to fix or offer solutions. Sometimes all that is needed is a compassionate witness to their pain. A simple, "I'm here for you," can be incredibly powerful. Incorporate acts of compassion into your daily life. It could be as simple as sending a thoughtful message to a grieving friend, or performing small acts of kindness for yourself. Cook a comforting meal, take a leisurely walk, or spend time engaging in activities that bring solace. Compassion is not one size fits all. It's expressed in many ways. So find what resonates with you. This can be empowering. It could involve creating a compassion journal or engaging in a ritual that symbolizes your commitment to self-care. For my brother, I placed a particular kind of rose that he loved into a fire to burn it and release him. Grief can feel isolating, but in reality, it unites us all. It's a common human experience. Remind yourself that experiencing grief is a testament to the depth of human connection. It's a reflection of the love that we have shared and the impact of the departed person or situation had in our lives. Compassion and grief are intertwined threads of human experience. By weaving mindfulness and self-compassion into the fabric of your daily life, you not only navigate grief with grace, but also contribute to the collective tapestry of shared understanding and compassion. And now we're going to have a guided inquiry for grief with mindfulness and compassion. Close your eyes gently and take a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to arrive fully in this present moment. Feel the support of the chair beneath you and the gentle rhythm of your breath. Begin by bringing your attention to the sensations of your breath. Notice the inhale and exhale, the subtle rise and fall of your chest, or the sensation of the breath at your nostrils. Let the breath serve as an anchor, grounding you in the present moment. Notice the feel of your body against the chair. Notice the feel of your body. Now turn your awareness to any grief or loss you may be carrying. Allow the feelings to surface without judgment. Embrace them with a compassionate heart, recognizing that it is okay to feel what you feel. Imagine a warm, gentle light surrounding the emotions of grief, offering comfort and understanding. Be a compassionate witness to your own pain, just as you would for a dear friend. With mindfulness as your guide, gently inquire into the nature of your emotions. What specific emotions are present with this grief? Where do you feel these emotions in your body? Is there a heaviness, a tightness, or any other sensation? Are there thoughts or memories associated with these emotions? Approach this with a curious and non-judgmental awareness, allowing whatever arises to be acknowledged. As you continue to breathe mindfully, use the breath as a tool to navigate through the waves of grief. Inhale deeply, acknowledging the pain, and exhale, releasing any tension or resistance. Let the breath be a bridge between the depth of your emotions and the calm of your inner being. Now extend compassion towards yourself. Recognize that grief is a natural response to loss, a testament to the depth of your connection. Silently offer yourself words of kindness. May I be gentle with myself in this moment of grief. May I find peace in the midst of sorrow. Reflect now on the impermanence of emotions, like passing clouds that come and go. Hold the awareness that grief, too, is a transient experience. Allow this understanding to bring a sense of ease and spaciousness to your heart. As we conclude this meditation, extend thoughts of loving kindness not only to yourself, but to all those who may be experiencing grief. For a grieving friend, may you be gentle with yourself in this moment of grief. May you find peace in the midst of sorrow. For us all, may all beings find solace. May all beings find peace. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing the awareness of this meditation into the world around you. And may this guided mindfulness meditation be a compassionate companion on your journey through grief. I'll email a copy to you and adapt it to suit your needs. So, how was your meditation last week, Barley?
I was too anxious all week to meditate very much, but
Uh-huh.
my anxiousness, it subsided a little bit. It didn't turn into grief, but it was just something I had to deal with. It was just big changes that,
Mm-hmm.
that I had to
Mm-hmm.
deal with. So
Mm-hmm.
it does seem that when those things come up, it just, I have a hard time calming down and meditating.
Sure, sure. Now, did you
But
try what we talked about at the previous session about uh, while you're anxious, remembering to be grateful for the good stuff?
yes,
Did that
yes.
help? Did that help?
Yes, that helps. That helps. It does. Totally. I didn't write it down, but I think that's a good idea too, to
Uh-huh.
write things down. I've just been thinking about them, but
Uh-huh.
maybe should get a notebook and write them down.
Uh-huh.
And then
What I found about writing the things down for me is
Mhm.
that it puts them somehow outside of me and it makes it easier to deal with. It externalizes them. It's funny that that's the case, but it seems to
Okay,
work
you're
that
saying
way.
you're writing down what you're grateful for, or you're writing down what you're anxious about. Which one? I forgot now.
Oh, again, Paul, you're dealing with emotions of any way, whether
Hmm.
it's anxiety or grief. writing it down, journaling, stuff like that is a
Mhm.
way to put it outside of yourself.
I do think though, as I mature, I don't cry as easily. I used to cry so easily.
Uh-huh.
And you know,
Well,
I'm
nothing
happy.
wrong, nothing wrong with a good cry,
No, no, that's true. I agree. It does
and
release emotion, but it's so much, yeah, it takes so much energy to cry though. I just
oh
could
yes,
not.
yes, yes. I think I'm an unusual man. I cried at one of the Terminator movies.
Oh. Well, that's cool. Yeah.
There's
Aliens,
a
aliens.
beginning scene where the person is looking through a chain link fence into a playground with kids or something, and
Mhm.
then kind of visualizes them all being wiped out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was sad.
Mhm.
You gotta like a man who cries at movies, for sure.
That's right. Anyway, how about you, Joyce?
I found the one we did last week about anxiety and gratitude very helpful. I had an experience on Monday. We went to this group thing, and there was a woman there who was very unpleasant to me, and continued during the entire time we were there to harass me. And
Horrible.
I was very traumatized when I left, very stressed. I couldn't focus, very upset. And so we walked, and then I did the gratitude meditation. And the strange thing was that night I had a dream about one of my worst jobs, which was working for the city of Palo Alto, high stress. And I woke up in the morning feeling very refreshed. And I'm not sure if it was the meditation or the
Uh-huh.
internal cycling from the dream or some combination, but it was very helpful. It really did work through some of that anxiety that I felt.
Hmm. Again, my own experience is the meditation and that inward attitude helps me, I guess the word is process this stuff. And, I hate to say it crudely, but it's kind of like the relief after finally you're able to uh, go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I could kind of see that.
But anyway, I only say that because I'm a crude man.
Who
Who,
who
who,
is
who cries at
cries
movies?
in movies? Yeah.
That's right. How about you, Carol?
Yeah, well, we've been having our short meditations in the afternoons when we don't have a Zoom session, so that's been good. I've been ending my computer day with a guided meditation from this guy that I like called Sunny Sharma. But I wanted to comment on the grief exercise that you just did, Richard, because I have really only experienced deep grief once in my life, and it was just incapacitating for like I had a week, sort of a lost weekend of just it
Hmm.
was a weird thing, and it physically felt weird, never experienced it before. Um, and so when you asked us to do that before, I really couldn't bring up that same the depth of the feeling that I had then, but certainly I am really happy to know that if or when I feel that again, that this will be very helpful.
Now, that's what I'm trying to do in this particular set of sessions is to be able to show you that already you have acquired these internal tools that you can use in a lot of different situations.
Right.
And, you know, to me, they all seem pretty similar. And, I heard the expression earlier in my life, the only way out is through. And that has been my own experience with painful emotions and stuff like that, trying to run away from them. doesn't do any good. And I think the expression is experiencing them out is something that I've found actually works for me.
Right.
Okay, so now let's have some meditation. Mindfulness is present moment awareness, paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non judgmentally, fully receive whatever is experienced, then let it go. The Buddhists say, let it come, let it stay, let it go. right. And now we're going to have a short video with a story that dates back to the Buddha about the two arrows.
The Two Arrows is a Buddhist story that illustrates the nature of suffering and how it can be transcended through mindfulness and wisdom. The story goes like this. One day, the Buddha was sitting with his disciples when a man approached him and asked, "Why do I suffer? Why do people experience pain and sorrow?" The Buddha replied, "Pain is inevitable in life, but suffering is optional. Let me explain with a story. There once was a man who was shot with an arrow. As soon as the arrow hit him, he felt pain. But instead of pulling out the arrow and seeking help, he began to worry about the consequences of being shot. He thought, what if the arrow is poisoned? What if I die? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my possessions? He created a whole story around the arrow, and in doing so, he added unnecessary suffering to his pain. The man's experience is like being hit with two arrows. The first arrow represents the unavoidable pain that comes with being alive, such as illness, loss, and aging. The second arrow represents the suffering that we add to our pain through our thoughts, worries, and fears. While we cannot always control the first arrow, we can choose how we respond to it and avoid adding the second arrow. The Buddha continued, by cultivating mindfulness and wisdom, we can learn to see our experiences as they truly are, without adding unnecessary layers of interpretation and emotion. We can learn to be present with our pain, without resisting it or running away from it. This allows us to reduce the suffering we experience in life and find a greater sense of peace and happiness. The story of the two arrows teaches us that while we cannot always control the events of life, we have the power to choose how we respond to them. By cultivating mindfulness and wisdom, we can learn to accept our experiences as they are, and in doing so, we can reduce our suffering and find greater peace and happiness.
So now we are going to meditate again. Relax. Look for joy in this moment. Let experiences and thoughts come. Let them be. Let them go as you feel your breath come in and you let it go. Breathe in energy. Breathe out peace. Right. Now, our chant. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Now, a little bit, I was thinking about there are some similarities between some of these mindfulness practices and what women learn at birthing classes.
Yeah,
You know,
Sure.
again, using
Oh,
the
breathing.
breath, using the breath to help deal with strong physical experiences.
separate your mind from your body, which is going through the pain.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
My mother had 2 breech births and she didn't use anything other than breathing.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
God.
It was in one of those early studies at the University of Minnesota. But part of that was she wanted to experience some pain like my dad did in World War II, being shot, machine gun. So that was
Uh-huh.
her.
But having a regular birth equals that, I think. Breach, good Lord.
Yeah.
Was that you? Were you one of them?
Yes.
You were one of the culprits.
Yeah. I don't know if they didn't know how to turn babies. Maybe you can't always turn breech. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can't always.
Yeah,
Right.
they've learned a lot about medical births in America in the last years. You know, the difference, my daughter was born about 45 years ago, I forget, and it was in a hospital and it was in a birthing center at the hospital, which was advanced at that time. My son was born 4 years later in a birthing home where it was done by midwives and there was a doctor around, but when he was there, the midwives tried to chase him out as fast as they could. Now, I was born of a natural childbirth in an ambulance in the winter in Oklahoma. And while my mother was having me, the ambulance drivers yelled at her, "Can't you wait, lady? You're making a mess, and we're going to have to clean this up before we can go home."
Like you have a lot of control of that last
That's right.
child.
And for her, my mother has been a mystic all of her life, and what she tells me is my birth was her first experience in the light. So while she was going through this, the ambulance lit up with the light, and I was born into the light. I don't make that as a claim to fame, but I guess I could.
And you guys are welcome to stop him the next time he tries to tell this.
Okay.
It happens frequently.
That's right.
Well, it's the first time I heard it, so that's
That's right. Carol's
We'll
been
remind you, Richard, if you say. I repeat, my husband always tells me, "You've told me that before." I say, "Oh, is this the 3rd time or 4th?" I don't know.
Yeah, well, we all do that with our
Cool.
partners.
yes, we do.
Some of these stories become public.
And so
through
Carol's
things
heard
like-
all of these stories more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, I need to leave, everyone. Thank you so much. It's
Okay.
very,
Very
very
good.
good.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see you.
Marley, see you.
Thank you for joining me and thanks for meditating together. Adios. You want deeper meditation, more peace, more happiness. Subscribe now to continue to find ways to get more from your meditation.